Do you know what I like to do when I'm feeling nostalgic? I like to look at some baseball cards. I got a special card in. It's one I've wanted for a long time. It's like number 2 on my Holy Grail list. Now, I'm of the opinion you can only have one Holy Grail. Mine is the T206 Honus Wagner. Always has been, and I'm sure always will be, unless I acquire one. But I'm really excited to get this, and it takes me back. It takes me back. When I was growing up, my most cherished card was this 1973 all-time home runs leader card, because it had Babe Ruth on it. And I could only dream about having a Babe Ruth card. I was down at my friend's house who collected with me. He was my sidekick when we would walk a mile through the woods down to the store to buy baseball cards. And his dad was telling us about this older man in his 70s who had all these old cards, and he had old Babe Ruths. And he and I were just dreaming that maybe some nice older man would give us some vintage cards, because we never found them. If we did, we couldn't afford them. The prices weren't like they are now, but for us at the time, I mean, even if they were $100, they might as well have been $10,000 or $20,000. Wouldn't have been able to get them. And I remember at the flea market, one day I was walking around and I saw a 1949 Leaf Babe Ruth. And it was the first time I had ever seen one from this one older dealer there who we would buy cards from. And I remember asking, how much is that? And he's like, oh, you kids can't afford that. I don't remember the exact price. It was either 100 or 150, somewhere in there. And so couldn't get that. So years later, as an adult, I did pick one up. When I was young, I got this baseball card book. It was the first book I ever got on baseball cards. And I would look through the pages and look at all these cards. And this still sticks with me because I just love the look of cards in their natural form. I acquired every card on the cover, every card on the back, and nearly every card inside. And I remember seeing this T206 Honus Wagner and how it is in that little tiny holder, and the card is not perfect by any stretch. It has creases, rounded corners, and I just remember how perfect it looked to me. It just looks perfect like that. That's the way an old card is supposed to look. When I shop for cards, you know, some people, many people, maybe most people have a checklist of what they're looking for. It's got to be centered. It's got to have sharp corners. It's got to be a certain grade or above. You know, they usually have this checklist. For me, and I can't really explain this or why I'm like this, but it may have something to do with my upbringing and when I first learned about cards, but I just look for a card that speaks to me. Oftentimes, that card might be off center. Oftentimes, it might be low grade. And I can't explain why certain cards just speak to me and appeal to my eye, and I want them. As you know, I'm not big on numbers. The numbers on my cards mean absolutely nothing to me. I have some that are 10s and some that are 1s, and so be it. I buy the card. So that's pretty much where I come from. The one exception to that is on certain cards, because I like rare cards. I like the obscure stuff. I like things that are hard to find. It's that chase, really. So the one exception to that is a card that may be notoriously off-center, like the 1976 George Brett, for instance. That's a card that I do seek out centered because they're so hard to find. And you just know that that card is notoriously off-centered. Another one of those cards, I showed you, the home run leaders, is the O-Pee-Chee version of this. I've never seen a centered one, ever. And most are super off-center, left or right. Super off-center. I have a very off-center one I display because that card's still special to me. And I did find an O-Pee-Chee that isn't perfectly centered, but it's the nicest centered one I've found so far. Now, on to my pickup. I am so excited to finally get this. I don't know why I waited so long. But I finally picked up a 1933 Goudey Babe Ruth. It's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I didn't want to junk it up with a number on it, so I put my own label over the flip. And I just adore it. It's beautiful to me. In fact, I think I'll hug him and I'll love him and I'll name him George. I'm shaking a little bit. Out of all the Goudey Ruths, and everybody has their favorites, this is my favorite. And I don't know why it's a holy grail or number 2 on my list, but it is. And it's the one that I prefer largely. I just love this pose. I must have seen it somewhere as a kid and fell in love with it. I don't know why this is my favorite. I can't explain it. I guess it's like falling in love. Can't explain why you fell in love with someone. And I can't explain why I love this, but I do. So excited to get it. While I have you, let me show you another nostalgic card since I'm feeling nostalgic. When I was little, my father took me to a wrestling, pro wrestling. I think it was the WWF at the time, I believe. Could be wrong. And we had a friend who was a radio broadcaster, and he got us tickets, and I went, and I really liked 2 wrestlers. My 2 favorite wrestlers from back then were Tony Atlas and this guy, Ivan Putski, the Polish Hammer. And I didn't even know he had a card. And I stumbled on it and I picked it up because he was my favorite wrestler growing up. I had a program, and I don't know what happened to it. I can't find it. I went looking for it. Around the time my mom had me get all my cards and collectibles out of their house, they had this large basement with all these, boxes filled with old books and stuff. They hadn't been in the house all that long. And I fear that she either gave some of my stuff away or threw it away. There are just a few things that I can't find. And I know she used to donate a lot to book fairs and stuff like that. And I'm afraid my program might be in there. Might have been in there. And I would love to have it back. I always kept it with my collection, and I have all the other programs from that time period, but I cannot find that one. And wanted to show you one of my favorite football cards from when I was growing up. And he was a running back I loved. And this is one of the greatest, in my opinion, football cards of all time. And it is the 1975 Greg Pruitt with Mean Joe Green chasing him down. In fact, Mean Joe Green is so prevalent in this card, it could be his card. I always loved Greg Pruitt, and he was doing an interview one day, and he said that he fumbled in every practice. And the reporter was like, why would you fumble every practice? And he said, because nobody's perfect, and I don't want to do it in a game. Just an amazing football card. That's what I have for you. I appreciate you hanging out, going down nostalgia memory lane with me. I appreciate you hanging out with me. I gots to go.